we've finally got Nick's LS2 Club Sport running, and it has come up absolutely awesome. The Nick supplied us this car with a turbo kit that was mostly done, and basically just said, you know, let's get it all on there, let's get it running, and that's what we've done. It's been a bit of a slow build, this one. It really has taken us probably a lot longer than it probably should have, but there's a standard that we like to do things. Nick allowed us to do it in that manner, and we're grateful for that, and we thank him for that. And thank you, Nick, when you're watching this. It is always appreciated when you just let us do our thing. Sometimes it can get a little bit annoying when the customer just pesters you about their car, and I know you're paying the bill, and I know they're paying the bill, and so on. But sometimes it's not all about just paying the bill. We like to just take our time and take pride in the work that we do, and sometimes it doesn't matter how much money you pay us. It's the pride and the time it takes to do the job nicely. So it's not all about the hours, you know. So, but yeah, grateful for Nick being patient with us, and yeah, and look, the end product is what it's what it's all about. So, but let's have a bit of a look over it. So it's got a G, I reckon it's probably up around a G55 or GT55 frame sort of turbocharger. Runs like a single 4-inch dump pipe. It's got the crossover in the back. Turbo Smart blower valve, Turbo Smart wastegate. One cool thing that Jesse has done with this, which I have not seen anyone ever do. So this kit was made to not run with the power steering, and I just did not like the idea of putting electric power steering on the car. It's just not needed to put any more strain on the alternator as there already is. So I figured, you know what, let's adopt an idea from the Falcons. And the Falcons run an integrated reservoir which actually bolts into the top of the unit, and all we had to do was basically re-drill the cylinder head, slide the AC as far over as we can, which gives us, you know, plenty of clearance. There's heaps of clearance there, and then fabricate a nice lid on the top. And it, you know, we just had to drill and tap the top of it. There was already a hole there. Put the O-ring on it. Make a billet aluminium base, and if I can find the photo of it, I'll put it in this video. And it just, mate, comes up awesome. You know, you don't have to worry about remote mounting the reservoir and stick it in other places and have another line going to it. It just gets messy. So, but I think that's come up really good, and yeah, I hope you guys like it, and people out there looking for ideas, you know, this is a really great, simple idea. If you know how to use a drill and a tap and use the aluminium welder, mate, that's the best way to do it. So, but the fuel system side of things, we're using the Aeroflow fuel rails. They're really nice billet rails. They've done a really great job of those. Using the Raceworks 1650cc injectors, using the Fuel Lab fuel regulator in a return style system, which is mounted up the back there, and using the AI twin 525 fuel pumps in the module in the back. So it's a full billet aluminium cradle which drops in with their wiring and all that sort of stuff. Really nice unit, works well, very nicely made, and you know, it suits this application. This car runs on E85, so you know, unfortunately we just have to run twin pumps, and I don't like the idea of running external pumps on these sort of cars and all that stuff. There is ways of doing it, but with the street cars, we try to keep things all modular and just try to keep everything internal, and it just makes it just for a much nicer street car, easy car to work on. So, but in the engine side of things, when we had the sump off it, it appears to have rods and pistons in it, but we don't know the actual specs of it. Nick asked us to put a turbo-friendly cam in it, and that's what we did. We used the Brian Tooley Stage 4 turbo grind. And if you've heard me on the blower cams, you know I've been banging on about their blower cams, and their turbo cams are just as good. So, but there's the cam specs there. 618th hour lift. It's a 234, 239. And then on a 115 LSA. So really, really good camshaft. It sounds really nice. It's hard to make the turbo cars sound good because they're obviously a single exhaust out the back, and to get a decent note out the back, it was always challenging to make them sound good, but this actually sounds very nice, so we're quite happy with that. We've made use of all the Raceworks tanks. We've used that one there for their overflow, and then that's their remote windscreen washer bottle. So it's got the pump on the bottom and all that, so it works in there quite well. So quite happy with how that's all turned out. Jesse's done an exceptional job on this build. So all the coating and all that sort of stuff was all done at Ryan, from Ryan at Race Coatings in Warragul. He's done all the, done the whole lot, done the housing or the dump pipe. Now, one thing with these turbo builds, you've got to pay extra attention to the heat shielding, and we use this Aeroflow heat shield matting. And people will say, you know, just put a beanie on it. Look, putting a beanie on your turbo is not the only way to control heat. You need to have an air gap between all your heat items, you know. So when you put a beanie on, you're actually trapping the heat onto the housing, which is okay for performance. But when you're trying to remove temperature, like heat, you need airflow, and to promote and have airflow, you need to have an air gap. And so by having an air gap across everything and using your radiator fans when they're blowing, they're actually creating some airflow, and that airflow in itself removes heat from items, you know. So don't think you just wrap everything up in, you know, fancy heat tape and put a heat blanket on it and the car's not going to melt to the ground, because it very well still can. So on these turbo builds, you've got to pay extra attention to it. So power-wise, let's have a bit of a look at it. Yeah, so 597 kilowatts is where we left it at, 174 Newton meters, and the boost is only like 11.9 pound. It does come on full boost at 4600. It's no lie, big single turbo on these LSs are quite lazy, so always a little bit late to the party, but once at the party, they're the last one to go home. So it's like, once it's on, it's on. And yeah, you can just smash those tyres for days. So can we make more power? Absolutely. You know, a few pounds of boost and this thing goes. I've already had it up. I've had it up to like 680 kilowatts. And I just thought, you know what, it's not worth window on a block over a set of rods we know nothing about. Let's be sensible here. Give the car back to Nick, let him enjoy it. And when he's ready to build an engine, we'll pull the engine out, build it, inspect it, and go from there. So, but a couple of things I'll probably touch base on. A few people always ask me in these sort of videos, you know, what's better, turbo or supercharger? There's no right or wrong. Personally, if you've got a street car and you only talk about doing street driving, you want something zippy, fast from a set of lights, a supercharger is always going to be better. Those Harrop 2650s and the Magnuson 2650s and even the 2300s are so responsive off the bottom end. They just make bulk torque off the bottom and they carry the power quite long. And when you're only trying to make like 550, 580 sort of kilowatts, the blower is just at home. The turbo side of things is unfortunately a bit lazier off the bottom, but once it's on, it carries the power quite long. So if you're going to race it, the turbo is always going to be faster because you can feed power in, where the blower is always going to be faster on the street. But if you're on a roll, let's say 100 kilometers an hour, doing like a roll race, you know, you get the turbo when it's spot and it's on, you're not going to touch a turbo car. So they're all got different applications and so on. So yeah, it comes down to what you like and, you know, what your preference is and what sound you're looking for and so on. So, but anyway, guys, that's Nick's VE. It is done and time to give it a wash and hand it back to him. So, like always, guys, thanks for watching. See you on the next one.